Son of a bitch! God fucking damn it! 7 fucking minutes of talking in the fucking microphone. Jesus. Thanks, Dom. To the other, like, 6 people that are just like, it's fine, channel points, fuck you guys. So, just want to throw that out there. Just go fuck yourselves. Thank you, Dom. Alright, so, anyways, here we go. I was going over all the rules, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Maybe I'll trim this. Probably not. I don't know, man. I have feels about being back for sure. I thought I would come back with like a fresh perspective, and I certainly did. But maybe it's not the best perspective. Anyways, hey, what's up? So the first 7 minutes that none of you could hear was just me rereading the rules. That's all. So, yeah. Opposed rolls are used sparingly if you're only the person actively initiating the roll counts as using their action for the turn. Alright, opposed rolls are used sparingly in the game, in combat, blah, blah, blah. If your roll fails, your action fails as well, regardless of your opponent's roll. If your roll succeeds while your opponent fails, your action succeeds. If you both succeed, your action succeeds if the result of your roll is lower than or equal to your opponent's roll. If the opponent's result is lower than yours, you fail. Opposed rolls can be pushed, optional rules, see previous page, as well, but only if you're the active party. This is done even after your opponent's roll. Open opposed rolls. The DM can also use opposed rolls in situations where there's no active party. Rolling strength against strength to decide, arm wrestling, blah, blah, blah. That's an open opposed roll. Alright, going back to pushing your roll. If you fail a skill or attribute roll, you can choose to push the roll. We did this in, what was that game? Tales from the Loop or whatever. Which means that you make another attempt. The new result applies, whatever it is. If you have boons or banes, you must re-roll all your dice. You can never push a demon roll, a nat 20. Whenever you push a roll, immediately after the re-roll, you suffer a condition. This means that you get a bane on all rolls for skills based on certain attribute and rolls against the attribute in question. Each attribute is linked to a certain condition, thus there are 6 different conditions: exhausted for strength, sickly for constitution, dazed for agility, angry for intelligence, scared for will, disheartened for charisma. You decide which condition you get from pushing the roll. With 2 important restrictions: you cannot choose a condition you already have. You must be able to explain, aka bullshit it, how the condition results from the action you are trying to perform. The GM has the right to reject clearly unreasonable explanations. Once you have all 6 conditions, you may longer push your rolls. In addition to their effects, conditions provide inspiration for role-playing. Mark conditions on your character sheet. Healing conditions. You can recover from a condition by resting. For more on resting and healing, see page 52. NPCs and monsters. Only the player characters can push their rolls, not NPCs or monsters. Monsters don't even fucking roll, for the most part. So, alright. Core skills. We know what these core skills do. Let's keep going. Heroic abilities. We know what these do. It's fun. Combat. Alright. Life as an adventurer is hard and often violent. No shit. In Dragonbane, you can run into wild beasts, malicious raiders, and demonic monsters. Combat can be rough. You bet it can. Rounds and initiative. Combat is played in rounds, each representing roughly 10 seconds. At the start of each round, the first step is to decide who has the initiative. That is, in what order the combatants will act during the round. Drawing the initiative. The 10 initiative cards in the box are labeled 1 to 10. Each player taking part in the conflict, voluntarily or otherwise, draws a random card at the beginning of each round, and the GM draws cards for NPCs. This is called drawing the initiative. The number on the card determines the order in which you act in the round. Number 1 acts first, number 2 acts second, and so forth. So Dom, I feel kind of bad, because now I do have a mod that allows cards in the game, like in Foundry. It's a pretty good one, right? It's a pretty good one. I just didn't have time to set it up and also prep the 2 other games that I was running this weekend, and then the 4 games that I run every week normally. So we're just gonna have to hope that the native card shit is good. Well, hello, Robbie Hoodie 27. All right, so place your initiative card by your character sheet. Yeah, whatever. When all participants have had their turn, the round is over, and a new round begins by drawing the initiative again. To make things simple, particularly in large battles, the GM can draw a single initiative card for a group of NPCs. All NPCs in that group act on the same turn in the round. The order among them is decided by the GM. Okay, so we should probably turn on that mod that lets you add colors and shit. I don't remember what it's called. Let's see. Color. Token color marker. There we go. That'll help us group everybody by color. Alright. Surprise! If you perform an attack that the GM deems surprising to your enemy, you get to choose any initiative card you want in the first round of combat. If several characters participate in the surprise attack, you may all choose a card. The other combatants draw the initiative from the cards that remain. At the start of the second round, everyone draws their initiative as usual. Waiting. On your turn in the round, you can choose to wait. This means that you swap initiative. Oh, I forgot about this. This means that you swap initiative cards and therefore places in the turn order with another creature whose turn comes after yours. You can swap cards with other player characters as well as NPCs, a group of NPCs acting in the same turn. They cannot refuse the trade. However, you cannot swap initiative cards with anyone who has already had their turn or who themselves chose to wait earlier in the round. Monsters. Monsters, page 83, often have multiple turns in a single round and therefore draw multiple initiative cards. In that case, you decide which card you want, as long as it comes after your turn in the initiative order. Monsters themselves can never choose to wait. Alright. So that brings us to actions and movement. Well, hold on. Let me roll these jabrones. We need a monster though, right? Let's get a giant. Spooter. There we go. Yeah, you're an actual monster, right? Yeah. Okay. So grab these guys. How do I add you to initiative? Hold on. Oh yeah, it was just taking a while to load. Boop. Alright. And then roll it? That's not right. Is it? No. Maybe? I mean, technically that would work. And then you just move yourself up and down the initiative. Certainly not as cool as having the cards, but it do the job. You know what I'm saying, guys? It do the job. That means you could pick what, any number you want on Earth, I guess, between 1 and 20. Hold on. I think there's a setting for this. Configure setting. Initiative. No, break time. Core. Configure dice. Maybe I was seeing that in the other thing. There was like, I've been working with like the design your own game, like the simple world generator system, and I think in that one you can tell it like what you want your initiative to be. Let's see. Use world skills for new actors. Permission to see damage. Select monster attack. Automate character death. Automate checkmark. Yeah, automate damage selected token. Deal damage in the healing selected token. Oh, okay. Dragonbane core set. Skip Initialization of year 0. Okay. If the module year 0 engine comment is live, do not initialize module settings and start up. No idea. Can't remember if I'm supposed to have something for that. Okay. I think we could just use regular rolling for initiative. I don't think that's a problem. I don't know where, like, there's no cards, I don't think. Oh, wait, here we go. Initiative card and initiative deck. Okay. Okay. Be kind of a pain in the ass at this late hour with 36 minutes before the game to set up cards just for initiative. Yeah. All right. We'll use modified initiative then. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, that works for me. All right. So then let's see. On your turn, let's see, begin combat. Giant Spooter gets to go first. On your turn in the wait. Giant Spooter. What's your ferocity? 2? See, you're supposed to be in initiative twice, homie. Let's see. So how would I get Spooter in there twice other than cloning him? I guess it's not a big deal. I can clone him. I don't know. I have vague recollections of this initiative tracker being a little bit different and actually using like the 1 to 10 method, but it's fine. As long as we have a way to track, that's all I need. Alright. On your turn in the round, you can move and perform one action. You simply explain how you want to move and what action you want to perform. If necessary, you also roll dice to see whether you succeed. You decide whether to move before you act or vice versa, and you can even use part of your movement, perform your action, then finish your movement. The 5th edition spring attack. You must perform your action and move on your turn. You cannot save anything for later, but see waiting on the previous page. Actions. An action in combat can be many different things. Here are all the things that are actions. Move twice. Melee attack. These can be performed against an enemy within 2 meters, 4 meters for long weapons, but maybe not the longsword. Ranged attack. Attacks with ranged weapon can be made against targets within the weapon's range. Parry. Both melee and ranged attacks can be parried, but the latter requires a shield. Parrying is a reaction that takes place outside of your turn and replaces your normal turn. Oh, that's right. That sucks. Dodge. Dodging a melee or ranged attack is also a reaction that takes place outside your turn and replaces your turn in the round. Jesus, this system's fucking rough. And you have like 10 hit points or something forever. Pick up items. Pick up an item from the ground. That's your whole turn. Or from your inventory. Jesus Christ. Equip, unequip. Suits of armor and helmets protect you from damage, but also restrict your movement. So picking something up off the ground is the same action economy as putting on an entire suit of armor. That's good to know. First aid. The healing skill is used to save the life of someone who had their HP. Speaking of, do you need like bandages? I think you need bandages. Bandages. There you go. Fucking bandages, bro. Alright. Cool. Let's see. Rally. You can persuade another player at 0 to get up and keep fighting. One of my favorite parts of the whole game. Break down door. Pick lock. Use an item. Yep. Okay. Activate ability. Cast a spell. Help. Round rest. You rest and recover D6 whip or WAP. Willpower. Willpower point, by the way. This can only be done once per shift. Yes. What is a shift? I don't know. I don't remember. Like 10 minutes, maybe? 4 hours? Some shit like that. Free actions. Minor actions such as drawing a weapon, kept at hand, dropping to the ground, or shouting a few words are all free actions. Use the sidebar on the next page for a complete list of free actions. That's good. See the sidebar. Free actions do not count as your action in a round, but you can only perform one of each type per round, and only on your own turn. For example, you can drop down or get up, but not both. Howdy, Crash Gem. How you doing? A pleasure to see you as always. And question if you don't... Well, I mean, you can ask it, but I'm trying to relearn the stuff. I got Garmander right here, bro. Why didn't you sign up for the game, Dom? You could have been Garmander Redeye of the Small Hands. Back in the saddle. Alright, hold on. I'm gonna go to my Dragonbane. Can we have token vision on the landing page? Wow, the things that these players are asking for. They're outrageous. Alright, hold on. Configure. Lighting. No token vision required. There. Alright. I don't know what seeing is going to do for you, but now you can see. I don't know if that changes anything for you. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a picture of these actions. And we'll post it here. And then we can pin it, I guess. And then we'll... Whoa! Went a little too far. Oh, shit. Oh, that's it? Free actions is... Yeah, 4 things you can do with your free action. There we go. Alright, now here's the shit of it, okay? Reaction. Some actions are not performed on your turn, but on the opponent's. These are called reactions and include things like parrying or dodging attacks. This uses up your own turn in the round, which means you cannot perform a reaction if you already had your turn. If you already had your turn, you cannot use a reaction. And if you use a reaction, you don't get a fucking turn. Flip your initiative card after performing an action. Damn. Movement. While performing a reaction, you also lose your movement in the round. Damn. Several reactions, such as dodging or parrying, give you certain movement as part of the action. You can read more about this under the Melee Combat, page 45. 29 minutes to learn the rest of the system. Let's go. Movement. Under normal circumstances, blah, blah, dash, stand and crouch, leap. Leaping uses acrobatics. So for every 5e kid out there, and Pathfinder kid that's always wanted to use acrobatics for jumping, here it is, folks. Here it is. It's not athletics, it's acrobatics. Door. Passing through a closed door, but unlocked door, costs half your... Wait, what? Passing through a closed but unlocked door. Okay, it takes half your movement to open a door, since there's no item interaction. A locked door must be broken down or kicked. Enemies. You cannot move past a standing enemy who wants to stop you. A humanoid creature of human size can block an area 2 by 2 meters, which happens to be how big all the squares are on our maps. Monsters can block larger areas. To move past an enemy who's blocking the way, you must first bring it to the ground or reduce its HP to 0. Friendly individuals can be passed without any problem, which is to say they're not difficult terrain. Free attack. If you are standing within 2 meters of an enemy and then voluntarily move away from that enemy, you must make an evade roll. This roll does not count as an action, but if it fails, the enemy immediately gets to perform an additional melee attack against you, a free attack. The free attack does not count as an action and can neither be parried nor dodged. A monster that gets a free attack performs a monster attack for free, which is really fucking bad. So you do not want to provoke free attacks from monsters. Note that a free attack is triggered even if you start your movement at a distance but pass by an enemy. So it's the 5e shuffle. So you can move around them, but if you move away from them. Sneak attacking. Everybody can sneak attack. The key to winning a conflict is often to attack when the enemy least expects it. Sneak attack. When you sneak up on someone undetected and perform an attack, it's called a sneak attack. It can be done with both ranged and melee weapons, but never during active combat unless you have the backstabbing heroic ability. First, you make a sneaking roll. Moving close enough to attack in melee combat within 2 meters for most weapons gives you a bane. If you fail... Wait. Moving close enough to attack within 2 meters for somebody gives you a bane. Oh. If you fail... So you gotta sneak with bane to get up on somebody. That's crazy. If you fail, they notice you draw initiative. If you succeed, your attack counts as surprising, which means that you can choose the initiative card you want. You also get a boon on the attack, and the target can neither dodge nor parry. Using a subtle weapon increases the damage by 1 die. Sneak attacks are always performed individually by one attacker against another. Yeah, man, you lose movement too. It's fucking brutal. I feel like when we were playing Dragonbane, Dom, it was like a fever dream. Like, I remember it being like a lot of fun, but I was so busy. I think it was like this time last year, actually, was the last time we played Dragonbane. Like, and it was just like, I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I can't make time for this game on top of everything else I'm trying to do. If you succeed, your attack roll counts as surprising. It's fucking awesome. Ambush. Oh, a special kind of sneak attack is an ambush lying in wait for an enemy. In this case, each victim makes an awareness roll to spot the ambush with a bane if the attackers are well prepared. All those who fail get bottom cards. Count from 10 and up, randomly drawn. Flip the initiative card. Once you have had your turn around, you can flip the initiative card face down to make it clear to you and everybody else that your turn is over. This means that you cannot perform any reactions, such as parrying an attack, later in the round. We're just going to mark everybody with like a green dot or a black dot or something to show that they have acted. Since we don't have physical cards. Combat maps, that's fine. Terrain. There is little space. All melee weapons except piercing weapons and subtle weapons have bane. Rough terrain. Whenever you move, you have to make acrobatics roll. Failure means that you fall over and lose the rest of your movement for the round. Man, difficult terrain ain't fucking around here. Dimly lit. Love that. Imposes bane on all ranged attacks. Alright, melee combat. To attack someone in melee, you generally must be within 2 meters of your target. On the grid map, you need to be positioned in a square adjacent to the enemy, including diagonals. Damage. If the attack hits, your weapon determines which die you should roll to see how much damage you inflict on the enemy. The damage can be increased by your damage bonus and a dragon roll, and decreased by armor. Damage bonus. Your damage bonus is determined by your score in the attribute. Oh, you know what we need? We need always HP for this shit. Hold on. I think only HP works. Let's see. Always HP. I think that mod works for this. It's a good one for Dragonbane, I think, because you got to do a lot of just mental math in it. I don't think the automation is super high for Dragonbane. Alright, let's see. You can have up to 3 weapons at hand. You write them down in the weapons section of your character sheet. To attack with a weapon, it must also be drawn. Drawing a weapon kept at hand or exchanging your drawn weapon for another weapon at hand is a free action of which you get 1 per turn. But I guess you don't get fucking any if you used a reaction. Strength requirements. Some weapons have a strength requirement. If your strength is lower than the requirement, you have a bane. If your strength is less than half the requirement, you can't use the weapon at all. Grip. Weapons require either 1 or 2 hands. You can only have one-handed weapon or two-handed weapon and shield drawn at the same time. The strength requirement for one-handed weapon decreases by 3 if you hold it with 2 hands. That's pretty cool. Long weapons. An attack with a weapon with the long feature can hit enemies up to 4 meters, 2 squares away. With such a weapon, it is also possible to attack a friendly pass a friendly combatant and hit an enemy on the other side. And apparently there's no bane for that, which is nice. If you're standing up but your enemy is laying on the ground, your attack gets a boon and does d6 extra damage. Keep in mind you can stand up from prone as your free action for the round, so there's that. Critical hit. By rolling a dragon when you attack, you score a critical hit. This means that a dragon roll is required to parry or dodge the attack, and that you may choose one of the following effects. Roll double the amount of damage for the weapon's damage before adding any damage bonus or other bonuses. For example, if you get a critical hit with a broadsword, it does 2d6 and have a damage bonus d4. The damage is actually 4d6 plus d4. You can immediately perform a second attack against another enemy. This additional attack is a free action, so you have to have a free action available. Armor has no effect against the attack, and it finds a gap or weak spot. This effect can only be chosen if the attack deals piercing damage. Optional rules see below. Damage types. There are 3 types of damage: slashing, piercing, and bludgeoning. The damage types of various weapons are listed in the weapon tables. Some weapons, such as swords, can inflict both slashing and piercing. You must state whether you stab or slash before you roll. The damage type influences the effectiveness of armor, and monsters can be resistant to certain types of damage. If you hit an enemy with a melee attack and your strength bonus is equal to or higher than your opponent's damage, you could choose to shove the enemy up to 2 meters in any direction to an adjacent square if you're using a grid map, in addition to doing damage. This movement does not count towards the enemy's total movement for the round. It does not trigger free actions from anyone. Monsters cannot shove or be shoved. A demon roll in melee, you roll on this nasty table. There's only 6 results, so you have a very high chance of killing yourself. You have a 5% chance of a 1 in 6 chance of killing yourself every time you swing your weapon. If you hit a non-living object like a door or lock, you hit automatically, and you only roll for damage. Inanimate objects have armor ratings, so they soak damage. Parrying. When hit by an attack in close combat, you can choose to parry the attack with a drawn weapon or shield. Note that you cannot draw a weapon to parry, as free actions can only be performed on your turn. You must declare that you're going to parry before the attacker rolls for damage. You cannot parry unarmed. It is also impossible to both parry and dodge the same attack. You can parry while prone. While parrying, you roll against your skill level for the weapon. That's pretty cool. Reaction. Parrying is a reaction. It breaks the initiative order, replaces your regular turn, and you must immediately flip that initiative card. This means that you cannot parry if you've already... So if more than one person attacks you and you parry, those other people are going to beat the shit out of you. Unless you have hero actions that let you do multiple parries in a round. Good shit. Like the defensive ability. Durability. If your parry succeeds, the enemy's attack hits your weapon or shield, and you suffer no damage. However, if the damage exceeds your weapon's durability, the weapon is damaged and cannot be used until it is repaired with a crafting roll. Shield. If you have a shield drawn, you can parry with it instead of your weapon. There is no skill for shields. Instead, you can use any strength-based melee skill. Any of them except knives and staves to parry with a shield. Because fuck those guys. Fuck the staves. Get out of here. Piercing damage. Piercing attacks can never damage a parrying weapon or shield. Well, that's good. Monsters. As a rule, monster attacks cannot be parried unless otherwise specified. Now, you might think that they're shitting all over piercing damage, but piercing damage is actually extremely good. Parry movement. When successfully parrying an attack, you can move both yourself and the enemy 2 meters in any direction. This movement follows usual rules, but do not count towards anyone's movement in a round and trigger no free actions. It doesn't say anything about moving an enemy into off of a cliff, so I guess that's okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. Rolling a dragon while parrying. If you roll a dragon while parrying, you immediately perform a counter attack on your opponent. An automatic hit. An automatic hit that cannot be dodged or parried. This does not apply if the attacker rolled a dragon as well. In that case, you need a dragon just to parry, boy. Wow. Dodging. As an alternative to parrying, you can try to dodge when you hit by an attack. You cannot parry and dodge the same attack. You must choose one or the other. You can dodge while prone. You must declare that you are dodging before your opponent rolls for damage. Roll for evade. On a success, you evade the attack and take no damage. On a failure, you are hit by the attack. Reaction. Dodging is a reaction like parrying. Requires that you have not already taken your turn. Once you have dodged, your turn is spent. Flip your card. On a successful dodge, you may, if you want to, move 2 meters in any direction. This movement does not trigger free attacks from anyone. Wow, that's pretty fucking good. Monsters. As a rule, monster attacks can be dodged unless otherwise specified. Special attacks. In addition to simply trying to hit the enemy, there are a few special attacks you can use in melee combat. Several special attacks are resolved by opposed rolls. Alright, so we'll post this up as well. Seems like an important one. Alright, find that weak spot. If your weapon is piercing, you could try to find a gap in the enemy's armor or natural armor. You get a bane to the attack, but if it hits, you ignore their armor rating. Topple. You try to topple an enemy to the ground instead of inflicting damage. This is handled with the opposed roll between your skill level in the weapon you are using and the enemy's evade. If your weapon has the toppling feature, you get a boon. The attack counts as an action for you, but not for the opponent. It cannot be dodged or parried. An effective way to use this special attack is to work together with another person. If you topple an opponent, your friend can attack the prone enemy before they can get up. Disarm. You try to disarm your enemy instead of inflicting damage. This is handled with an opposed roll between your and the enemy's skill level in the weapons you're using. The attack counts as an action for you, but not for your opponent. It cannot be dodged or parried. If the enemy is holding a weapon in both hands, you get a bane. If you succeed, the weapon lands d6 meters away in a direction of your choice. Picking up the weapon from the ground is an action. Disarm does not work on shields. This is why you keep 3 weapons on you at all times. Jesus. That's fucking terrible. Alright, grapple. You try to grapple a humanoid enemy instead of inflicting damage. This is handled with opposing roll between your brawl and the enemy's brawl. The attack counts as an action for you, but not for your opponent. It cannot be dodged or parried. If your attempt fails, you fall on the ground. If it succeeds, both of you fall to the ground, and the enemy is trapped in your grip of kissing and hugging. As long as you maintain the grip, the enemy can neither move nor perform any action that requires a body movement, except trying to break free. Doing so is an opposed roll between your brawling and the enemy's brawling. The roll is a free action for the enemy, but not for you. While maintaining your grip, you are also unable to move or perform any action that requires body movement, except break. This counts as an unarmed attack with a boon that cannot be dodged. Releasing the enemy. Oh my god, it's crazy. Alright. Ranged combat. To use a ranged weapon, it must first be drawn. Just like in melee, you should preferably be positioned over 2 meters from your target. Standing 2 meters away or less will give you bane on your attack. Because 5th edition skeleton, I guess. Roll against the skill for the weapon you're using. For throwing weapons, use the same skill for melee, such as knives or spears. If the attack hits, the weapon determines which die you should roll to see how much the damage is it inflicts. The damage can be increased by damage bonus and a dragon roll, and decreased by armor. If you roll a demon when performing a ranged attack, you get a nasty side effect. You get a damage bonus for ranged weapons, just as in melee, but note that crossbows do not give you a damage bonus. The weapon tables range, that is the maximum distance at which the weapon can be used effectively. You can fire at targets up to twice the listed range, but at 1 bane. Critical hits. If you get a critical hit with a ranged weapon, you get 2 options. Your weapon's damage is doubled before you add, excluding your other bonuses. And then the other one is armor or natural armor have no effect against the attack as it hits a gap or weak spot. This effect can only be chosen if the attack deals piercing damage. Piercing weapons, yeah. Parry and dodge. Parrying a ranged attack requires a shield. It works in the same way as in melee combat. You can dodge ranged attacks like you normally could. Obscure targets. If your view of the target is partially obscured by an object or person, no matter if it is a friend or foe, you get a Bane. On a grid map, you can shoot past a person standing between you and the target, but with a Bane. If the target is completely out of sight, perhaps hiding behind a wall, you cannot shoot at all. If you are playing without a map, the GM gets to decide. Alright. Damage. How much time we got? 12 minutes. We're doing great. I love Dragonbane, man. I love Dragon. It's the Kingdom Death of 5th edition D&D. I don't know. I think it's really cool. I think the victories are so small in Dragonbane, and I love that. I don't know. I'm like the complete opposite of Josh Butler, I guess. I just like the most grit, salt of the earth bullshit compared to like superhero campaigns. I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow, honestly. I'm gonna try my best, I guess. Armor. Wearing leather, chainmail, or plate mail can protect your body from damage. Equipping or unequipping armor counts as an action, because it's that easy. The armor you're wearing should be written down in the armor section of your character sheet. You can only wear one suit of armor at a time. Makes sense? Some armor can give you a bane to certain skills, or restrict your movement. Your body movement. Armor rating. An armor's effectiveness is determined by its armor rating. Whenever you take damage from a physical attack, subtract the armor rating from the damage. If the damage from a melee attack is completely negated, the attacking weapon itself suffers the damage instead. Which might, so people could break. You could break your armor. Sorry, you could break your weapon attacking a well-armored opponent, which is super dope. Your armor can be combined with a helmet, which can further increase your armor rating. Equipping or unequipping a helmet counts as an action. Helmets can also give you a bane with certain skills. Death. If your HP reaches 0, you drop to the ground and risk dying. You cannot move or perform any actions except trying to rally. Death roll. On your turn in each subsequent round, you must make a death roll, a roll against your con score. The death roll cannot be pushed if that optional rule is used. Record the results of your death rolls on your character sheet. After 3 successful death rolls, you recover a d6 hit points and stop making death rolls. After 3 failed death rolls, your player character dies. Rolling a dragon counts as 2 successful death rolls, and a demon counts as 2 failures. If the combat ends, keep counting rounds until all death rolls have been made. Any failed death rolls are reset if you survive. Additional damage. If you suffer additional damage while at 0, it automatically counts as a failed death roll. Damage types and armor. Leather and studded give +2 against bludgeoning. Chainmail gets a +2 against slashing. That seems like a pertinent table to share. I'll share that one.
Can I ask something?
Sure. What's up?
That's okay. This game one shot. You said there was something different about death rolls or death,
well,
or is that something we'll get into the actual game?
The death rolls will be the same, but if you would die, you just get a curse token.
Okay.
And then the more curse tokens you have, the more you wish you were dead.
Okay, gotcha.
Because the whole premise is that you guys can't die. It's just I just ripped off Pirates of the Caribbean. That's all. It's just the whole adventure is just Pirates of the Caribbean.
Fair point.
I didn't pick that up at all from reading about it.
Yeah, really? Okay, cool.
I thought this was completely original.
Only a movie I watched every single day of my life for a year.
I've probably seen Pirates of the Caribbean about 50 times. Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. I haven't seen any of the sequels more than once. Another player character with alright, so rally. Another player character within 10 meters and earshot can persuade you to rally and keep fighting despite having 0 hit points. This counts as an action. If you rally, you can continue acting as normal, but must keep making death rolls, as described above. I've seen a lot of people die to rally. It's pretty great. Let's see. You can even try to rally yourself, rolling against your will with Bane instead of persuasion. Guess you can't self-talk yourself into making it happen. Saving life. When you have 0 HP, another person next to you can save your life with a successful healing roll. Without bandages, they get a bane to the roll. This counts as an action. Multiple attempts are allowed. If the roll succeeds, you stop making death rolls and recover d6 HP. You cannot save your own life this way. even if you have rallied. Additional healing rolls have no effect once you are no longer at 0 hit points, except when resting. Magic can save lives as well. Instant death. You don't record negative HP, but if a single attack reduces your HP to a negative score equal to your full HP, your player character dies instantly. Time to honor the fallen adventure and create a new one. This is actually more common than you think because you have to roll for stats in this game, and and you have to take the stats in order. And you could very much have like a 6 Constitution, and your hit points are equal to your Constitution score. So it's very easy to die from massive damage. 0 hit point for NPCs. When NPCs reach 0, no death rolls are made. The GM just decides whether they live or die. Arbitrary. Alright, severe injuries. If you've been reduced to 0 but survive, you risk severe injuries that could take a long time to heal. Also, here's some bad conditions. This whole piece of paper is important, so I'll just screenshot this whole thing. Alright, 6 minutes. Alright, great. Healing and resting. Yeah, we'll probably need this too. I should just throw the whole book into chat, really. That makes...
You have the crits and fumbles in the journal tab.
I do?
Yeah, crits and fumbles.
Yeah. They're Oh, yeah. Damn. Okay. I was about to say, like, I also have all the. There should be rollable tables for most stuff. So that should be good. Let's see. Healing and resting, loss of HP and WP are recovered by resting. There are 3 kinds of rest: round, stretch, and shift. Round, a quick rest that is a single round. You get a D6 willpower and no HP, and you can only have a round rest once per shift. Stretch rest, a short rest that only lasts for 1 stretch of time. During this time, you heal D6 hit points, 2 D6 hit points if someone else is tending to you with the healing roll. The caregiver cannot rest during the same stretch. It can only heal 1 person during the rest. During a stretch rest, you also recover D6 willpower points and heal a condition of your choice. That's important. If something dramatic interrupts your rest, the effects are not lost. You can only have a stretch rest once per shift. Shift rest. A shift rest lasts 1 full shift of time and can only take place in a safe location where there are no enemies nearby. During a shift rest, you recover all your lost HP and WP. Okay. Alright, does anybody remember how much time a stretch and a shift are? I want to say 10 minutes and 4 hours. That's what I think.
I think it may be shorter than that. Hold on a second.
Okay. I'm sure it's listed somewhere in this book, but it is not listed in any of the sections.
A round is 10 seconds, a stretch is 15, and shift is 6.
A shift is 6 hours? Or 6
sorry, 6 hours.
Okay, 6 hours. So it's
15 minutes.
10 seconds, 15 minutes. Okay, so 10 seconds, 15 minutes, and 6 hours. Okay. Alright, other hazards: darkness, poison, disease, swimming and drowning, fear, that's a real bad one, hunger, these are all terrible, riding animals, improvised weapons, magic, casting the spells, gear. Alright, I think we got it. I think we've got it. Alright. With 3 minutes to spare. Okay, I'll go ahead and raid Lex. Let's see. Hand it over to you, bro. Let's see. Alright, so everybody in chat, we're gonna go play some Dragonbane now. Kick off DirkCon 2025. So go to Lex's channel now. Goodbye.